very well. I'm doing great. Thanks for all the positive feedback on the first episode. I know a few of you were asking about fantasy football. I am going to do a video on it. I think I am going to do videos like I did last year as well, so a weekly kind of video on that. Chatting about the games as well, and how I did, usually how badly I did, but how I did. I think I'm going to put that, or record the episode and put it up the day before the kickoff of the season. So on Thursday, the 9th of August, that video will go up because the transfer deadline ends on Thursday, the 9th at 5 PM. So I'll record it like just after then, and they don't take long to upload, so you could expect it for like 9 o'clock that night. Before the weekend, because I want to know what's going to happen. I think this is going to be a really big transfer window. We're starting to see some more transfers coming through now. Well, I am as a Palace fan, because I'm recording this on the 2nd of August at 11:26 AM. So the information I have is as up to date as this. So if you, I can only go with what I know. When I'm previewing these teams, obviously, I couldn't record like a massive preview on the. Maybe I could on the Thursday night, but I might do a transfer window video or something like that. We'll see anyway. I guess that will probably combine with my fantasy football video. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Today we're going to look at Everton through to Man City, and then the third episode with Man United down to Wolves. Obviously, it's alphabetical order. There's no real kind of reason or why. A few of the transfers that have gone through on the teams above. Crystal Palace has signed a player. Yay. We signed Kouyaté from West Ham. I believe it was around 10 million. Which he's a kind of like tough tackling central midfielder. If you remember last time I said we are light on midfielders big time, so I think that's a good signing. I think West Ham fans seem to be fairly split. Some of them have said, yeah, if you can get the best out of him, he's going to be a decent player, and others have said he's not really up to much, but we'll see anyway. There's Palace's second signing after the keeper. We've also been linked with quite a few other people now. Things are starting to get rolling. Max Meyer being the most interesting one. Max Meyer from Schalke, who was kind of touted as a German wonder kid, but that status has kind of diminished a little bit. People have said that his ego has been pretty big. Well, interesting. A kind of attacking midfielder can play as like a number 10. Very interesting. Which has also been linked with, I think, Danny Ings, which I'm not too keen on, especially for the price tag of apparently about 20 million. I don't think that's good. We got linked with Michy Batshuayi, which I would love, but I don't think it's going to happen. Danny Drinkwater on loan. Like, we've been linked with loads of players. Who knows what's going to happen, but at least we've signed someone for money. I was beginning to get a little bit worried. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Everton this time. So let's look at Everton. Obviously, Everton pretty interesting because Marco Silva's finally taken over as manager there. It was this kind of whole big long process. They wanted him when they got rid of Koeman, but Watford dug in. Then they picked up Allardyce, who, listen, whatever you think of Sam Allardyce, and I think of him in a similar way to Neil Warnock in that, listen, I don't particularly like the person. Like, I don't like the way he conducts himself. I don't particularly like, a lot of his views on things. But he's a good manager, and you will not get relegated with Allardyce. Trust me, as a Crystal Palace, fan, I know that very well. But the thing with Allardyce is you're only going to get one style of football, one way of playing, and it's effective. But fans or these top clubs nowadays, which are trying to build a brand, like, they demand a more kind of like fluid attacking sense of football, or perhaps something that doesn't rely on having a big man up top to nod down the long balls. It's very harsh on Allardyce to say that, because he doesn't necessarily play like that, but his team certainly has a style, in a similar way to like Pulis or those types of managers, very old school. Now they obviously got Silva in, got rid of Allardyce, which Allardyce didn't really do anything wrong, did he? I don't think. He did exactly what he wanted to do. It just literally the face didn't fit. So yeah. This season, Marco Silva's come in, and so in terms of transfers, what do I want? I want that one. There we go. Everton have brought in, I believe it's only one. No, two, sorry. Yeah, of course, they signed someone yesterday. So when I did the previous video, they had only signed one person. Now they signed two. So they've signed Richarlison and Lucas. Is it Dugenay or Digny? I don't know. He's French anyway. Richarlison they signed for 50 million. I mean, 50 million for Richarlison. Wow. That's where we're at, is it? Because, not being funny, but I don't think he's worth 50 million. I know that sometimes you can turn around and go, okay, well, look, we need, Silva really wanted this player, obviously. He worked with him before when he was at Watford. He signed him for Watford. I think he believes he's going to be a really, really big player. But my goodness me, Watford milked that for every penny, didn't they? Richarlison had a really good first half of the season, and then he completely tailed off after Silva left. So, he had a much harder time in the second half and didn't look anywhere near a £50 million player. I don't think he looked a £50 million player in the first half of the season personally, but he's young. I think he's like 21, sorry, and he's going to improve. And Everton needed some pace. Like, that was the thing everyone was saying about Everton last season, was they looked really slow up front. Especially when they had like Rooney playing and Sigurdsson. That they're not the quickest of players, and they looked slow. They kind of addressed that a little bit by getting in like Walcott. But yeah, it's a lot of money for a player. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's a player they've identified and said, this guy is going to make the difference for us, they've obviously gone out there and got him. Lucas Dugenay of Barcelona, I think he's a left back. And I think they signed him for I heard it was like 18 million, something like that, around that much. He was on the fringes of the French squad, but wasn't in the French squad that went to the World Cup. I mean, I guess Baines is getting on a little bit now, and they probably want someone to come in and challenge for that position, shall we say. They've got Coleman on the right, who I think is one of the best right backs in the league. When he suffered obviously a horrible injury for most of last season, but hopefully he'll be back now. Their central defence needs some work though. Ashley Williams and Jackie Elker, they don't look like they've got long left, to be fair, at this level. Michael Keane, I think, is a decent centre back, but I think they need somebody who's going to kind of come in there with him and form a good partnership. They've got some good young players like these three: Holgate, Kenny Browning, Brendan Galloway as well as good defender. So they've got some really good youth prospects coming through. I don't know how much or how good they're going to be though for the rest of the season, if that makes sense. Pickford is their number one. I mean, he's coming off the back of a decent season, first season at Everton, and a brilliant World Cup. I don't think Pickford's there with the elite goalkeepers in the league, like a Courtois or a De Gea or Lloris, but he's still young in himself, and I'm sure he will have a good season for them as well. If he can get a good defence in front of him, then I think Everton would be solid. But again, for me, they need a centre back. In terms of midfield, well, they're blessed with a lot of very good midfielders. They're just the kind of they seem to have a lot of midfielders who are not the most consistent of players. Like Schneiderlin should be a really good player, but for some reason he fades in and out. Sigurdsson, they don't seem to get the best out of him. They had a problem where they had Rooney and Sigurdsson both kind of trying to play around the same role. Rooney's obviously left. That's probably their biggest out of the summer. Rooney's gone to America. Hassan as well has gone. It never worked out for him, did it? And Funes Mori, who never really looked like a brilliant Premier League centre back, to be fair. But yeah, Tom Davies is still kind of growing. He looks like a prospect. James McCarthy's a solid midfielder, an interesting guy. He's again a pretty solid midfielder. Besic as well on his day can be good. Morales on his day can be good, but these are kind of like, I don't know. I think the key for Marcus Silva is to get some consistency out of these players, because they clearly have a lot of talent. And last season Everton spent big, to try. Their aim undoubtedly is to break into this top 6, or even into the top 4. They've been spending big. They've got a pretty wealthy owner, and they want to push forward. And for those who are younger, they probably don't know, but Everton used to be one of the biggest teams in the country. They were a team in their heyday who were winning the league. But they've kind of dropped away a lot in the last few years. So it's interesting. They've always had a good youth program, and they obviously have some very good young players coming through. But it is going to be interesting to see what Silva kind of makes of this team. Yannick Bolasie, he's undoubtedly one of my favourite ex-Palace players, but I would be the first person to say that he's not exactly lit things up at Everton. He's had his injury problems, but I don't think they haven't in recent years played in a way which has, which has benefited him, or they haven't played to a style with him. That could be changing, but then again, you look at it and go, well, he's a left-sided, attacking, midfielder, winger, whatever you want to say. Isn't that where Richarlison plays? And they just paid 50 mil for him. So I think Bolasie's days at Everton might be numbered there. Walcott, I've always said this about Walcott again. It's like I've always liked him as a player. What you get, Arsenal was not the right fit for him. There were spells at Arsenal where he looked world class, and there were spells where he looked like very average. Again, I guess consistency might be a good thing there. I think St. Dawson's a good forward as well. I don't know. I guess he will fit in with Marcus Silva. Like Silva at Watford used to play Troy Deeney. I see Dawson as a kind of similar player, but probably scores more goals. They've got some good young forwards in Ademola Lookman, who went on loan to Germany last season, and Calvert-Lewin, who he's played quite a lot last season because Everton have struggled with forwards, but I'm not quite sure he made the grade last season, so I would imagine see him go on loan, maybe Lookman as well. I don't think Sandro's got much of a future, or Nias. I don't know, we'll see. New manager, new thoughts, but when I look at this Everton squad, I've got to be completely honest and say I can't see them breaking into the top 6 this season. I can see them finishing, say, 8th or 7th, but I can't honestly see them breaking in. I still believe Marcus Silva is very unproven as a manager. He's had half a good season at Hull, half a good season at Watford. This does not add up to a proven Premier League track record, a la Allardyce. But excuse me as I have a drink. This is the guy they wanted, and they tracked him and they got him, and they obviously want to build for the future. I wonder if he has a good season at Everton, if his eye, because clearly his eye gets turned by a bigger club, doesn't it? That's I can't really blame the guy. That's what he wants to do. But I wonder if Everton have a good season, but maybe don't crack the top 6. If a bigger club would come in for him, and if he would be turned, but that's a long way off, I guess. So yeah, for me, I think Everton forward-wise are okay. I worry about their midfield a little bit, and I worry about central defence a little bit. But otherwise, they've got a pretty decent squad. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the relegation zone. But we'll see. Fulham up next, one of the promoted teams. I'm pretty chuffed to see Fulham back in the Premier League. I like Fulham a lot. recognisable names in the squad. They've brought some decent players. That has to be said. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season for them. The standout players for Fulham that they've signed, Andre Schürrle and Mitrovic, very good players. I can't believe Schürrle's still only like 27, is he? I think. Yeah, 27, unreal. He must have gone to Chelsea when he was like 21, 22 or something, because it feels like that was years ago. Mitrovic did brilliantly for them last season. He went on loan. They paid like 22 million for him. Yeah, I think that's a really good signing, because they looked a different team when he came in, and he was their push to the playoffs, and then obviously they won the playoffs. Probably the guy everybody... guys, my mouse has just run out of... my mouse has just run out of charge. Can you believe that? That's bad. I didn't even realise. Bear with me, I just need to plug it in. I've got a wireless mouse. I didn't even think about charging it. There we go, we're back. You can just plug it in if it runs out, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so the player everybody's talking about is Ryan Sessegnon. He's 18 years old. He is clearly looked a class apart. You know, he was playing for Fulham last season, scored a hatful of goals, did brilliantly for them. This guy wasn't even born in the 90s. He was born in 2000, for God's sake. Scary as hell. Feel old now, but yeah, he looks like he's going to be a class. Keeping hold of him will be important to them. I think they will. I haven't really heard that many rumours or anything about him going anywhere. I think they'll keep hold of him this season, but next season, if he has a good season this year, I can see him going to a top club. He's that good. So and I think he reminds me a little bit in that way of Zaha, where not in a similar style player, but that sort of situation where you've got this young kid who did brilliantly in the Championship, was really good, pretty much single-handedly got them promoted. It's not quite true, but in Zaha's case it kind of was. Sticks with them for a league season in the Premier League. I can't remember if Palace got relegated that season or not, but anyway, Zaha, we all know, went on to Man United and didn't get a look in, so I wonder if Sessegnon will stay for longer at Fulham if they stay in the Premier League, or maybe not go to quite such a big club. Yeah, we'll see anyway. But yeah, Schürrle, really good player, really big fan of his. Seri, the midfielder's actually pretty decent as well. Tom Kearney's had a really good season for them. He's their kind of creative midfielder. And they always had a pretty solid defence as well. I mean, they're going to be, for me, they're still going to be buying players. I think they're still going to strengthen. They're not, for me, who I would say would be in the bottom three at the end of the season, but I think they're going to be close. There's some very good players there, but the depth of the squad I don't think is as good, and that's where the Premier League can get you. If Mitrovic gets injured, or if Schürrle gets injured, or if Sessegnon gets injured, what happens then? Who do you bring in? Because in the Championship you can sometimes get away with it a little bit, not that much. Championship is pretty competitive, but in the Premier League there's not one. Fulham are fighting for their lives from day one in the Premier League, so will they be able to how will they be able to do? Now, interestingly, they played Crystal Palace in their first game this season. They've got an okay beginning. I say okay because look, they could take points off Palace, they could take points off Burnley, they could take points off Brighton. Tottenham and Man City away will be tough, but maybe if they get them out of the way with, then that's out of the way with. But yeah, I right now with the two squads, I see Palace as beating them on the open day of the season, but you just don't know, do you? Last time Palace played Fulham, I think it was 5-4. So Palace were like 4-1 up or something crazy like that, 4-2 up something. It was horrific. But yeah, good to see Fulham back in the Premier League anyway. As I said, I think they're going to be around the relegation zone. We'll see what happens though. It's a really tough one to call. Huddersfield, who did so well to stay up last season, they don't have a budget like Fulham. Fulham have spent quite a lot of money. Huddersfield have got some players in, but like they're kind of like not exactly. I'm not going to say not splashing their cash, but they're getting in solid players for cheap fees who they know, like Terence Congolo, players like that, just kind of really solid players. They got Sobby, did they? Okay, that's interesting. They signed him from Stoke. Interesting. I didn't realise that one. Yeah, again, Huddersfield, they're going to be fine for their lives on day one. They were throughout the season last time. They had a really good start to the season. We saw them through. I wonder, and I feel like that was the bounce, like the newly promoted side bounce. I wonder if they don't have that this year, what's going to happen. Clearly their manager's, done a great job and, very highly rated. I just don't know if they're going to have enough to stay up. For me, I think the second season is the hardest season in the Premier League because for clubs like Huddersfield, I mean, and I mean no disrespect for that, but they don't have a £100 million budget, to go and buy players with. They've probably got like a 20 million or something like that, which doesn't get you a huge amount nowadays, unfortunately. They've got great support, and that first season in the Premier League I feel is a bit of a whirlwind, and they obviously had a really good start, and people didn't know what they were about. They were a bit of an unknown quantity, and now I think people know a little bit more about them. We saw their form tail off terribly towards the end of last season, although they did kind of drag it back. So for me, I'd have them down as relegation candidates, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. The selling Tommins to Stoke City for 10 million was a weird one. I don't know if it felt like Tommins was a bad player. I think he did quite well in the later games for them last season, but it's a weird one. So yeah, I think Huddersfield Town, obviously, it's great to see teams like that in the Premier League. Playing their own kind of unique style, and not spending gazillions on players or anything like that, and trying to do it in a proper way. But history does seem to dictate that teams like that struggle. We'll see. Tough start for Huddersfield. They got Chelsea first, then Man City. If they get any points out of those two games, then they'll do well. Then they've got Cardiff, which I think will be a really big game, because if they've come out those first two games with no points, that's going to be a massive game. Then Everton, then Palace. I really want Palace to get some revenge on them after they spanked us in the first game of the season last year. I think we beat them after that though, but anyway. That's a tough start, to be fair. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough season, I think, for Huddersfield, but hey, if they can nick a point or so off Chelsea or Man City, then who knows? Who knows? Next up, we've got Leicester. Leicester are always an interesting squad, aren't they? Or an interesting team, because I feel like I got a really nice third kit as well, haven't I? It's just a white t-shirt. I feel like Leicester, obviously we all know about a few seasons back when they won the league, like in this amazing style, and they haven't really pushed on from there. To be completely honest with you, I didn't expect them to push on from there. The season before they won the league, they were relegation. They were so nearly relegated from the Premier League, so close, and then they win the league the season after, like crazy mental. With this, got rid of Pearson, got in Ranieri, win the league, crazy. I feel like with Leicester, they kind of needed to get their identity a bit sorted out, because I think last season they had this whole thing with Mahrez dragging on a bit. Now Mahrez has gone. Okay, he's gone to Man City, and they, Leicester, unless they manage to pull off miracles again and find players like Kante and Mahrez, like they can't really replace Mahrez. They got 60 million for him. Don't get me wrong, or around that much, has been reported. But like, what can they do to who are they going to find to replace Mahrez? They still can't attract big players, even though they won the league. So they've had to sign players like James Maddison, who looks like a very, very good prospect. But if you compare him to Mahrez, you would take Mahrez. That's why Man City signed Mahrez. So they've had to replace players with players who aren't quite as good, like when they lost Kante. I forgot the name. Who's the name of the guy who they signed instead, who has actually done quite well, but he's not Kante. Ndidi. They signed Ndidi, who's a good player, as I said, but he's not Kante, is he? And that's kind of the struggle they've had. I think Vardy's got maybe 1 or 2 seasons left in him at a high level. So you wonder where it comes from there. I'm not convinced by Iniacho. I don't think Man City were either, which is why they sold him. They've got a lot of, on paper, good forwards. Iniacho, Okazaki, Musa, Salami, Yoloa, but they haven't really been performing that well. Last season they didn't do brilliantly. They were just very average, I think, across the board. Maguire's there. Obviously still, there's been rumours that Man United were going to try and sign him, but I think Leicester are really digging in on him and don't want to get rid of him. Well, I mean, I know they don't want to get rid of him, but like they don't want to sell him. Obviously, if you lose Mahrez and Maguire, you're really going to struggle, because, as I said, it doesn't matter if you get 60 million. Who are you going to find to replace Mahrez? Like, you can't. It's the same with Crystal Palace and Wilfried Zaha. If we do sell him for, say, 50 million to Tottenham, who do we find to replace him? Because we can't attract that level of player to our club. And I think Leicester, with all due respect, they can't attract that level of player to their club. So they have to look for more up-and-coming younger players who are going to be able to kind of come through, and a few unknowns. And I looked at Leicester's winning the league in a similar way to what Arsene Wenger did at Arsenal, which was, when he signed like Henry, Vieira, and Elka, like these were kind of unknown players at the time. They weren't unknown, but they were, in the wilderness a little bit, and then he transformed them into world beaters, and they did a little bit of that with Kante and Mahrez, and Vardy as well. Signed these players, and that was the catalyst for them to win the league. And they've struggled to do that in the same way Arsenal struggled to do that again, because lightning doesn't strike twice, does it? I think a mid-table finish is a good season for Leicester, to be completely fair. If they could try and push for a European place, albeit in a cup or whatever, that would be great. But undoubtedly they're going to struggle without Mahrez. Like, there's no doubt about that. I hear very good things about James Maddison, but I also know that he's played most of his football in the Championship, and coming up into Premier League is a different matter. And when you look at the rest of that midfield, there's no one else who can do the things that Mahrez can do. So we'll see. I know Damari Gray is highly thought of. All Brighton's a pretty solid player for them. Amarty's well thought of as an up-and-coming player, but yeah, I look at this squad as a whole and I go, this looks mid-table to me at best. So yeah, we'll see. They've still got Claude Puel as manager, who got a lot of stick to begin with, I think, from Leicester fans. Then they started to improve, and I wonder how long he's going to get if Leicester have a poor start to season. And listen, they've got some tough games. Man United away is not easy. Wolves is not going to be easy. Southampton might be easy. I'm joking. Liverpool's not easy, so I wonder if they come out of them without very many points, like how long does Puel have? Like, I don't feel like he's got the confidence of the club on it, So it's worrying, you know, because as I said, with the transfer window closing so soon, you know, unless you have total confidence in your manager, like it's tricky because if you're signing players that he wants for his style and then you get rid of him and bring in another manager who has a completely different style, he can't do anything till January. It's not ideal. So yeah, that's Leicester City. Kasper Schmeichel, I think, is a very good goalkeeper, though. I think he showed that in the World Cup as well. I think he could be the next one to go. I don't think Vardy's going to leave Leicester. I think Vardy's going to stay there now. Like, I think he's like 31 now. I don't see him going anywhere. I think Kasper Schmeichel's the one who could go. You know, if we're talking about Courtois possibly leaving Chelsea, I think they could do a lot worse than Kasper Schmeichel. Personally, if you're talking about De Gea leaving Man United, they could do a lot worse. You know, I've even heard that maybe Real Madrid want Lloris as well. And again, like, I think if any of those top clubs lose a keeper, then Leicester, you know, Leicester fans will be having like squeaky bum time worrying about, you know, Kasper Schmeichel, because I think he's probably outside of the top six. You know, maybe thinking at Everton, but yeah, otherwise he could be one of the best keepers in the league, in my opinion, and a league winner as well. Let's not forget that. Who's up next? Liverpool, the big spenders. My goodness me. Liverpool came right out of the blocks and signed the players they wanted. I feel like they learned a lesson with the Virgil van Dijk transfer. For those who kind of remember, they wanted Van Dijk at the beginning of last season. Southampton kind of dug in. Liverpool wouldn't pay the amount they wanted, so Liverpool waited again until January. I feel if they'd had Van Dijk at the beginning of the season, it would have been a lot closer between them and Man City. I'm not saying they would have won the league in any way, but I'm saying it would have been a lot closer, because Van Dijk made a massive difference to them in that second half of the season. The defence just looked 10 times better. Then we have the goalkeeper situation. Obviously, we all know what happened to Karius. I feel so sorry for the guy. I really, really do. There's a lot of like hate and vitriol towards him, which is just like, at the end of the day, look, you lost a football match. Because of him? Yeah, because of him. Whatever happened, whether he was concussed or whatever, at the end of the day, you lost a football match, which you probably didn't even expect to be in at the beginning of the season anyway. And I would say, like, don't, like, it's so unfair to just like pile that all on one guy. There's no way. It's not like he went out there and didn't try. Like, if you have a player who goes out and just doesn't even try, then you could be like, what the hell are you doing? But clearly he tried. He just screwed up badly. And like, I feel sorry for the guy, but I feel like the only course of action Liverpool had was, I don't think they could go into the new season with him as goalkeeper. They signed Alisson in what was a world record fee. I think it was 65 million, something like that. I don't think it will say on here. It's always undisclosed, yeah. They signed Alisson, who, I mean, people really like him. People really rate him. He's should be better than Mignolet and Karius. Like, he looks an upgrade. He's Brazil's number one. He did very well for Roma. You know, people are saying, well, you know, Liverpool stuck, what, 5 or 6 past him? Yes, but, you know, Liverpool were also absolutely on fire against Roma, and it was different styles, you know. Like, a goalkeeper can say, can gain you points on their own, but if the team in front of them aren't performing, then there's not a lot you can do on there. But I think he's an upgrade for them, without a doubt. And again, they were very assured. They went out there, they went, this is the guy we want, we're going to buy him, we're going to buy him early and get him in. And the next player, well, not the next, but another player they did buy was Naby Keita. I think he was like the first one. They had done that deal like last season, but agreed to kind of like not sign him till this season. Very industrious, kind of like tough tackling midfielder, similar in some ways to like Kante or something like that. Again, probably need a player like that. Identified him, that's what they want. Fabinho, another midfielder, very, very good quality midfielder as well. and Shaqiri, who we all know what Shaqiri can do on his day. One of my, I don't know if criticisms, but one of my points about Liverpool last season was once you took away Firmino, Salah, and Mane, and you were left with Ings, Solanke, and Sturridge, and Origi, that's nowhere near as good. You know, Shaqiri's a player who could easily, you know, flip in for Salah or Mane, and while not as good, not look out of place. So, yeah, I don't think Shaqiri's going to be the number one name on the first sheet in the first game of the season if everyone's fit. Like, it'd be Firmino, Salah, and Mane, and why not? Because they are absolutely fantastic, all three of them. But, you know, Shaqiri will be there, and it's great to have someone like Shaqiri to come on maybe in the last 20 minutes of a game, 15 minutes. He can play, you know, in games, you know, to allow you to rest Salah, Mane, and Firmino. Like, I think that's a really astute signing, and I don't think he was very much either. I was saying, like, I would love Palace to sign him, and I would have loved Palace to sign him, but clearly, you know, if Liverpool are coming in for him, then that's, you know, the way it goes. The only thing you can say about Shaqiri is he has a tendency to be a little bit lazy, not track back, and in Klopp's side, it's all about work rate, you know, pressing, this Gagan pressing style. How is he going to fit in there with that? I mean, if anybody's going to get the best out of Shaqiri, you feel it will be Klopp. Like, you know, players talk about how he makes them feel like a world-class player, and I'm intrigued to see, because I've always felt Shaqiri had the ability to be one of the top players in the world, and maybe playing with better players, no offence to Stoke, will help him out as well there. Rather than being the focal point, he can be the guy who's one of the focal points, you know. We'll see. But for me, Liverpool look like the side challenge Man City next season. You know, Van Dijk and Lovren have played pretty well together. Robertson looks like a quality left back. Alexander-Arnold's coming through at right back. Matip's another good defender. Gomez, good defender. Klein, I love Nathaniel Klein. Don't know if he's got a future at Liverpool, but good luck to the lad. Ex-Palace player, really good player. Got blighted by injuries terribly, but, you know, midfield, like, this midfield oozes like quality. I think when you look at Wijnaldum, Milner, Henderson, Oxlade-Chamberlain, Fabinho, Keita, Lallana, like, that's options there, isn't it, really, for you? You know, there's going to be rotation in the squad, and Klopp's going to have to keep players happy, because, you know, in the way he plays, if he's going to play Firmino, Salah, Mane up front, or, you know, the three, then that's three from these 7 players. You know, no offence to these other ones, but I don't see them as first team players. So, yeah. But, yeah, that's 3 from the 7, and to keep them all happy, and they're all top quality players, aren't they? I guess Milner's the one who you might say is getting on a bit now. Henderson, I think, had a really good World Cup, and he's their captain. So, you know, Wijnaldum, like, he has been used as more of a squad rotation. Lallana on his day looks good. Oxlade-Chamberlain, you know, before that injury he got, was looking real quality. And then add in Fabinho and Keita. Like, I think Liverpool, outside of Man City, just have the best squad in the Premier League for me. They have a fantastic manager in Klopp. I could talk about him for days. And people kind of go on about him a little bit. I think, like, sometimes, you know, people talk about the fact that he hasn't won that much in his career. Like, he has won things, but, you know, people say, like, oh, everyone talks about him as this great manager, but he hasn't won that much. But I see him as a manager who comes in with a style of football and gets the best out of players in a way that Guardiola does. You know, players like Jordan Henderson were pretty much written off before Klopp came in. You know, you look at guys like Firmino. Again, I think he was seen as a bit of a flop when he joined Liverpool under Rodgers. I think it was Brendan Rodgers. Like, and now he looks brilliant. Mane was always a good player, to be fair. Salah, I mean, what can you say about Mo Salah? Last season was probably one of the breakout seasons any player's ever had in any league in the world. He went from being a player that a fair few people knew and went, oh yeah, useful addition to the squad to suddenly being one of the best players in the world. And I don't know how that happens. It clearly isn't just about Salah. Clearly Klopp has some influence on there. My question will he be able to keep it going this season? Because I feel like sometimes a player can have a really good season and momentum carry them on. If Salah goes a few games at the beginning of the season without scoring, how does that affect him? When you look at it, he was on such a high, going through the season, and Liverpool played so well, and then the final happened, the Champions League final, and obviously that wasn't good for him. Got injured and that went off. World Cup happened, didn't make the first game. I think he scored in both Egypt's other games, but they lost and they crashed out, without winning a game. So he's gone on this massive high to this, massive drop, and I wonder, I'm sure he's going to be raring to go, but I wonder, we're going to see how that affects him coming into this season, because is he going to be a confidence player? One of the things I would say was, at the beginning of last season, we saw him miss quite a few chances. Okay, he had quite a few chances, which is good, but he did miss a few, and so I feel like, has his confidence taken a knock? How is he going to be coming into the first games of the season? Also, not really having that much of a break, because of the World Cup. Interesting. Listen, I back him to repeat that form of last season. I think class is permanent, and it wasn't like he was a bad player before. He just didn't look as good a player. But I'm just saying that those types of things can happen. So it'd be interesting to see how he kind of reacts to, and also how he's going to react to being the guy that everybody now wants to take out. At the beginning of the season, it was like, oh, there's Mo Salah, yeah, he's a fast winger. There's Mo Salah, he's going to destroy us on our day. We need to stop him. We need to put two players on him, sort of thing. I wonder how he'll react to that, and that will prove whether or not he is able to go to that next level. And with the real elite players. But yeah, I don't know if I can see Liverpool winning the league. I feel that they were the best team pretty much in the world on form on the second half of last season. But I wonder how much. I wonder if Liverpool, we saw Liverpool get a kind of edge over Man City. They beat them in the league. They beat them in the Champions League after having losing to them at the other half of the season. So yeah, if at the end of the season Liverpool crowned champions of the Premier League, I would not be surprised in the slightest. But there is that team who's going to be in their way, I think, stopping them. And if Man City weren't in the league, I'd say Liverpool would win the league. But how can you bet against Man City and what they did last season? If you are a Man City fan, there's a series coming on, or just a football fan in general, I guess. There's a series coming on Amazon, which is like a behind the scenes of last season. It looks pretty interesting. I think it's out in about a couple of weeks, something like that. So yeah, we're gonna get a little bit of behind the scene look at Man City. I'll be watching it for sure, because I think it'll be fascinating. I'm fascinated by Pep Guardiola and what he does. The amount of people who seem to think he's some sort of fraud, which is ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. Now, the one thing you got to say about City, okay, is yes, they do buy a lot of players. They haven't brought that many this season, have they? Really, they've brought a couple of youngsters and then Riyad Mahrez. But really, do they need to buy anybody? Because they just have such a good squad. There's just so much talent everywhere you look. Goalkeeper will be Ederson, obviously. Bravo's a good backup. They've still got Joe Hart. I don't know what's going to go on with him. You got Walker, Danilo, Company, Stones, Laporte, Mendy, Otamendi. I think Mangala's going to be on his way out. I don't think Pep rates him. Mendy was injured most of last season. Don't forget they were playing a bloody Fabian Delph as a left wing back, and they still won the league at Cantor. So if they stay away from injuries this season, it could be good. The only question marks I would have would be central defence. They look a different team when Company plays. And I'm not sure how many games he's going to be able to play. Like, these injuries keep flaring up with him. I think Walker looked brilliant at the World Cup. I wonder if that will influence Pep, because Pep likes to play with wing backs. I wonder if he's going to keep Walker as a right wing back, or it maybe try and make him more central. I think he'll keep him as a right wing back personally, but I guess it's an option which he didn't know he had before, and now he's got it. Midfield is where I think it is just like draw time, like there's draw coming down like at this midfield, when you can have Gundogan, De Bruyne, Delph, Silva, Fernandinho, Mahrez, and then you have youngsters like Foden, Zinchenko, Patrick Robert, like flipping heck. Whew, that is scary, isn't it? How good that midfield is. De Bruyne, we all know, is world class. Silva as well. Gundogan, I think he was still struggling with injuries last season. He's going to be better. You bring in someone like Riyad Mahrez, and you're like, oh my god, like the talent in this, it's going to be entertaining to watch. Forward lineup: Sterling, Aguero, Sane, Jesus. Like, I think Sane's going to be raring to go out the gate. Personally, I'll have him in my fantasy football team without a doubt, because he didn't have a World Cup, did he? He didn't get beat by Germany. I think he's going to want to prove a point, especially with how badly Germany did. And pretty much everybody else in this squad went to the World Cup. Mahrez didn't as well, so he might be worth a punt. But a lot of these other players did and got quite far. I guess I don't know if Gundogan did or not actually. But Aguero obviously did. Sterling did. Jesus did. Or Jesus, sorry, did. So yeah, I think Sane's going to be raring to go, as is Mahrez. There's a lot of talent in this team. Not just talent, there's this way of playing that they did last season, which was just brilliant to watch. Like, every match I watched of Man City I enjoyed. It's just pure entertainment, you know. Whatever you think of Pep Guardiola, and again, I think he's a brilliant manager. You know, he's up there, you know, top 5 managers ever, in my opinion. He still needs, I think, to create a legacy, as in stay at a club. Well, I guess he was at Barcelona for a while and did win loads of things, but what I mean is that I think he needs to repeat this, to get those people on his side. He needs to have a slightly longer legacy at club, because I think the Bayern thing did put people off a little bit, because it's like, well, you only won the league and Bayern win the league every season anyway, which is a little disrespectful, because that's not quite the case, as Dortmund would kind of, you know, try and say. But I think he needs to do well this season with Man City. And as I said, Liverpool are going to put up a strong challenge, I think, for them. It will be interesting. Like, City have got the squad to compete in every competition, as they did last season. You know, they got knocked out by Liverpool, who I think were the only team who could have knocked them out. I think if Liverpool had got knocked out earlier, and Man City had then gone on to play Roma, and or if Man City had somehow beat Liverpool and they'd gone on to play Roma, I think they would have beaten Real Madrid in the final. Personally, I mean, maybe not, because obviously Liverpool had a lot of like bad luck in that final, didn't they? Without doubt, and the same thing could happen to City. But my point is, I think that they are just equipped to really beat everyone. It would be interesting when they play Liverpool, because they have that kind of hoodoo now. And it's great to see a Guardiola Klopp battle again, as we used to see in the Bundesliga. They play Arsenal in the first game this season, which will be fascinating, I think. After that, I think they've got a good run for them. I think they're capable of winning all these games easily. No disrespect to those other teams. I think, like, most people would agree with that. But that Arsenal game will be really interesting. I'd back Man City to win it, obviously. You know, but I wonder how much of like a World Cup hangover is going to affect them. You know, with a lot of their players were at the World Cup. A lot of their players did well at the World Cup and went through. So I don't know. We'll see anyway. But as I said, when you got like a Sane and Mahrez to kind of come through, you haven't got got too much to worry about, have you? And Arsenal did have a lot of players at the World Cup as well, to be fair. So yeah, that concludes this episode. Next time we'll look downwards. You know, I've got a lot to say about Man United, I'll tell you that much. You know, we're not too far away now from the beginning of the season, so it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, as I said, we don't know what's going to be happening in terms of transfers yet. Still very interesting how that's all going to work, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching as always. It's been my pleasure. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.